Happening now, Albuquerque police are still on the hunt for the man who they say kidnapped a little girl yesterday.
And they think this is the same guy who not only kidnapped but also molested another little girl last week. News 13's David Romero is live out at Catherine and San Mateo Southeast. David, first thing, is that girl safe this morning, right?
Luckily, yes, Matt, and you can only imagine the sigh of relief that her mother feels right now that she got her daughter back. Meanwhile, there's a lot of concern on cops' minds that they get this predator off the streets. Now, everything started around 6:30 yesterday evening in a neighborhood near Indian School and 12th Street in northwest Albuquerque. Police say a man forced a 5-year-old girl into his car. Now, it was by chance that the girl's mother saw it happen and started to chase the man. During the chase, detectives say the man kicked the girl out of the car somewhere along the way, but the mother continued on chasing him and talking to 911 during the whole ordeal. She eventually rammed into the kidnapper's vehicle near Catherine and San Mateo in southeast Albuquerque. That's about 7 miles from where it all began. Meanwhile, the kidnapper took off on foot after the crash. That's when police blocked off a 20-square block area looking for him. Investigators do believe this is a random kidnapping with no apparent relationship between the man, the girl, and her mother. Now, that man is identified as a person in his 20s or 30s, a Hispanic or Native American male. He was last seen wearing jeans or a T-shirt. If anybody has any information, you're urged to call police right away. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you, David. Some scary thoughts out there. Now, investigators, as I mentioned, think this may also be the same man who lured a 6-year-old girl into his car near that same apartment complex, 12th and Indian School, last week and molested her. Elizabeth.
Police are also looking for a man who was wanted on numerous child abuse charges this morning. 20-year-old Taylor Adams is wanted in Roswell for 15 counts of sexual assault on a child and 9 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. If you have any information on his whereabouts, you are asked to call Roswell Police. 2 Albuquerque mid-schoolers won't be in class this morning after being arrested this week for having a loaded gun on campus. APS says 8th grader Juan Fernandez brought the 9mm Glock to James Monroe Mid-School Tuesday. They then handed it off to a 7th grader at some point during the day. Police say they later found the gun at one of their homes. The students are both suspended. They could face expulsion and criminal charges. The district is not naming the 7th grader or giving a reason why Fernandez, they say, brought the gun to school.
You might notice something a little different at a problem-plagued park on Albuquerque's west side for the next few days. Police are setting up this mobile surveillance camera at Pat Hurley Park. It's just north of Central and just west of Atrisco. The camera is linked to the police department's real-time crime center, and officers can use it 24/7. The goal is to cut crime there, especially crimes that are gang-related that have been haunting Pat Hurley Park in the neighborhood for the past few years. City Councilor Ken Sanchez says he's going to push the city to spend $45 grand for a permanent camera for the park, which would make the neighborhood association very happy.
Because if you're being watched, you're not likely to get into so much. You're going to stay away.
The police department has more than 200 cameras all around the city and about 100 or so traffic cameras. Police say they delete most of that video after 24 hours. Well, the man who admits he forced his way into an elderly woman's home in Albuquerque and tried to kill her is now on his way to prison. Philip Kosarukov was sentenced to 4 years behind bars yesterday after pleading guilty to aggravated battery and kidnapping. In October of 2011, he forced his way into a 70-year-old woman's home and tried to smother her with a pillow there off her couch. She fought him off and got away.
An Albuquerque woman accused of selling fake IDs is expected in court today. Shelly Nichols is facing charges from everything like selling fake IDs to altering documents to get a title loan on a car. A grand jury indicted her back in January of 2012 on forgery and drug charges. Nichols is expected in court sometime this afternoon. And we could learn today the identity of the man who was killed in a crash near Alameda on the Guadalupe Trail in the North Valley yesterday. Bernalillo County deputies say the man was heading east on Alameda around 10 a.m. when he veered off the road, struck a tree, and was killed. The Department of Corrections is getting ready to go after some of the inmates it accidentally released early.
Yeah, we are talking drug dealers, a child molester, even a double murderer. Corrections released details from the first phase of its audit yesterday, which show it let out 51 inmates early all in the last 2 years. That includes double murderer Dion Henderson. The state let him out 4 years early, but picked him up again days after the department discovered its mistake. The state is still looking for what it calls 12 high-risk inmates, but says not everyone who got out early is actually going to go back to prison.
We need to look at is how much time do they owe us, What's their criminal history look like? And how are they succeeding?
The state accidentally let the inmates out early because of human error, which included bad math.
We are expecting to hear later today from the state police officer who helped to save a girl who was trapped under an SUV with some of the help of some of the bystanders. Well, it was all caught on dash cam video. As you can see here, Officer Steven Nunez pulls up to the rollover scene on I-40 east of Grants on Wednesday. He realizes an 8-year-old is trapped underneath the vehicle, so he tries to lift the SUV with a jack, then waves over 4 people who were nearby. They were able to tilt the car and get the child out. She was airlifted to the hospital, and at last check, she was in serious condition.